Welcome to PTI BetterGradesFast.com multimedia tutorials. This creative writing session will be on planning your stories. It is very important to plan your stories before you actually begin to write them. This is to avoid any kind of unclear information that you give to your reader. It also helps you to avoid repetition. And finally, it gives you a better attempt and an easier work process rather than simply writing without thinking beforehand. It also helps you to avoid straying from your topic because you will be better prepared once you plan. In planning an essay, there's a certain process you need to go through. You need to develop for your story these 5 questions: who, where, when, why, and how. Once you can answer these questions directly before beginning to write, you can be sure that you have a well-planned essay, so your story will therefore be a lot more interesting. First, you need to think about who, meaning who are your characters. The who would be the people involved in your story. Perhaps you may even choose to involve animals. Where? To determine where your story is taking place, you need to develop a setting. A setting could be a physical location, like a beach, a town, a castle, etc. But you also need to determine the environment of that place. The weather conditions, the sound of the rain, the glistening of the sun. All these things contribute to where your story is taking place. Think about your reader when determining this. And remember that you have to ensure that your reader can picture the scene in his or her mind. You must then determine when your story is taking place. Is it in the night, on the weekends, early in the morning, at dawn? When you determine this, your reader will again be able to have a clearer idea of what you are talking about. Why? Why would give you the problem in your story, meaning, why did this happen? This is usually the conflict or the problem that you have to resolve. How would be how that issue developed. Once you have this in mind, you will be able to determine how you are going to resolve your story. Let me give you an example applying all of these. Perhaps your topic was a day at the beach. Who would be the persons involved? Let's say I choose myself and my father. Where would be the beach? Perhaps you can give a beach name like Maracas Beach. When? I can say 2 o'clock on a Saturday afternoon. Then, as the reader, you will be able to picture the scene, the weather, the time of day, etc. Why? Why could be something positive or negative. Why also links with the question, what? So perhaps the what in this case could be that I got into difficulty swimming. How would be the development of that, meaning, how did I get into difficulty? A wave approached me without me realizing it. So, immediately in your mind, you can see the scene. You can picture the beach. You can picture the time of day. You can picture myself and my father going to the beach. And you can also see the wave knocking me over because of the fact that I was not looking in the direction of it. Your solution would be also your what, meaning what was done when you tumbled. Perhaps your solution could be that my father helped me, or a lifeguard helped me, or I was able to find my own grounding and eventually I got myself back up. All of these things would contribute to your story and make it more memorable as well as more vivid. Keep all these questions in mind when determining your storyline so that your reader will be clear on what you are trying to say. Also, remember that once you have planned in a certain direction, keep your story along that same line. Then it will be easy to develop your story because you already know what you want to say. Finally, remember that planning stories is your best possible solution or your best possible guide to help for you to write the best story that you possibly can. Images would also help here because it makes the reader clear on whatever you are trying to say. To prove if your story and your plan was well written, have someone read it. See if they picture the same things in their mind that you intended when you were writing your plan. If they do, then you can be sure that you have truly written a good plan and therefore you will write an even better story. Thank you for choosing PTI BetterGradesFast.com.